Okay guys, this is part 2 of the N64 collection. Let's start off when I was talking about Paper Mario. So I actually thought Paper Mario 1 was better than the original, well not the original, the sequel for GameCube, which I have, which is very good. But for the original version on N64, oh sorry, for the original on, dang it. If only I had a blooper video. For this game on N64, it's really great. I mean, for a RPG Mario game, I mean, it's really enjoyable. Nothing to say. This is the ripped version of Mario 64. This one has the one with 120 stars. Ugh, I'm disgusted. Rugrats Scavenger Hunt. Well, y'all should know what I think about this game. I mean, the company that made it besides Nintendo, I mean, that's an exact clue. THQ. Unbelievable. You know, LJN and THQ really have the monopoly for making horrible games. And, you know, this is one of the worst ones. I mean, it's basically the Rugrats version of Mario Party, because it's like a board game. A bad board game. Very bad. Star Wars Rogue Squadron. It's a fly and shooting game. Obviously, it's a 3D flying game like that. As much as a fan of Star Wars as I am, I really have to, you know, say this one is, I wouldn't say it's bad, but it's more closer to bad than it is to good. It does more harm than good. Because, well, the controls, it's kind of like the backwards controls. Like, if you push down, you go up. I think that's what the controls are in this game, but I'm not completely sure. But if that's what the controls are, then it really kind of hurts it. I mean, trying to shoot stuff isn't as easy as it sounds, and the mission objectives are impossible. So, sorry to say, but that one's just not really that fun. I guess we're getting closer to the bad games. Toy Story 2, Buzz Lightyear to the Rescue. You know, I was a big fan of Toy Story as a little kid, and, well, I still am now, being that I'm 13, I can't believe I still like Toy Story. It was made by Activision, which I'm surprised Activision has made a horrible game, at least for N64. This game you play as Buzz Lightyear going around, you know, zapping toys and trying to, it's basically the same story as the movie. But, you know, for a game, it's not really terrible. It's just not what it could have been. It could have been better if they improved some things, like the controls. Sometimes trying to jump on a platform takes like 20 minutes. Army Men Sarge's Heroes 2. As much as I hated the first game, the sequel improved. I mean, it fixed all the problems, and it actually made it a fairly decent game. The first one was plain out terrible, but this one I think is fairly decent. It's made by 3DO, which is, 3DO actually made their own console back in the early 90s called the Panasonic Real 3DO. But I guess they stopped all that nonsense because the 3DO was a huge failure and just decided to become, you know, a third-party company. And I think 3DO also made the first one, but the second one for a sequel is just amazing. The controls were fixed. I mean, the controls were really, really fixed in this one. This one had better multiplayer. I think it might have had more weapons. I'm not really completely sure. The only wrestling game I have in N64, WWF Attitude. Get it. I'm not a wrestling fan at all, and even this game was plain awful. I mean, last time I played this game was years ago, because I can't believe how horrible this game really is. You know, when you try to wrestle somebody, the controls somehow get jammed for a second, I guess. Because the last time I played this, when I tried to wrestle somebody, I kept jamming all the buttons, and all that happened, I got pinned down. So, terrible. Really, really terrible. Here's a more recent one I bought, Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 2. This one I wanted because, you know, I had Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 3 and 4, and Underground 2, which I have over there in my PS2 collection. This one's enjoyable too. I have the first one also, so now I have Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 1, 2, 3, and 4, and many of the other ones, including Project 8 and the Underground ones. It's made by Activision O2, which made the third and the fourth one, I think. Yeah. And this one was really enjoyable. I mean, there were many features in this game that they didn't have in the first that they improved on. Like manuals. Yeah, the manuals really help to keep your combos and, you know, get a really high score. The controls were better in this one. It included my favorite skateboarder of all time, Rodney Mullen. You can't go wrong with Rodney Mullen. You know, he's an awesome skateboarder. The Legend of Zelda: Majora's Mask in the gold cartridge. Now, Ocarina of Time was a complete masterpiece for any N64 owner, because Ocarina of Time, you know, it was the first 3D Zelda game, and it was, you know, a masterpiece. But when Majora's Mask came out in 2000, I mean, I don't know what people were expecting, but probably another great Zelda adventure. But this one was completely different. I mean, you can only play as young Link through the entire game, where in Ocarina of Time, you play as both young Link and adult Link. Majora's Mask isn't a bad game, but it could have been way better. The time travel idea for this game was, I'm not really a huge fan of, because I mean, you do have the Ocarina, which you get later in the game to send you back in time, but that makes you lose all your rupees, your arrows, your bombs, I mean, all that item collecting for nothing. And, you know, I really didn't enjoy this one as a kid, but now that I'm older, well, I kind of appreciate it. I mean, the difficulty is insane still, even at this age, but I really have to say, this one is really enjoyable. The difficulty was enhanced a lot, and the tempos were really harder. I mean, it still had some concept that Ocarina of Time did. So I'd say pick it up if you're a Zelda fan, but, you know, definitely get Ocarina of Time. 007, The World Is Not Enough, with the blue cartridge. World Is Not Enough was nowhere as good as GoldenEye or Perfect Dark. This one was completely different. It was still a first-person shooter, but it did have many flaws in it. I mean, the missions were way harder, and most of the enemies took like 3 or 4 hits to put down with just with a pistol or something. And, you know, this one was definitely nowhere as fun as GoldenEye. I'd still consider it a great game with the multiplayer, but multiplayer in GoldenEye was much better. So, you know, pick this game up if you want. It's not recommended, but, you know, you could if you want. And last but not least, CastleVania for N64. This is also a recent one that I bought. I saw the Angry Video Game Nerd's review on this game. He said it was kind of terrible, but I didn't really quite believe him at the first second. And I know that's a bad thing, but, you know, I wanted to try it out, so I went to Trader Bill's store, PA. I bought it, brought it home. I played it, and I was fairly disappointed. I wasn't really too disappointed. I mean, I did really like the concept of the game. You know how, you know, it's the first 3D Zelda game. I played as I forget the name of the guy with the whip. Yeah, I played with the guy with the whip. I forget what his name was. And, you know, the concept isn't really that bad. I mean, it's a good Castlevania game, especially for the first 3D one. But you know, I'm stuck on a level and I can't get past it. Well, that's all the Nintendo 64 games I have. I bet many of you people are wondering, where is Ocarina of Time? Well, I have it for GameCube, so, you know, you can't argue with that. But, you know, those are all my N64 games. I'll do another collections video soon. We'll see you guys in the next video.